To start this first day, I'm very, very excited to welcome the CFO of a fantastic Chinese company, a Chinese internet veteran, Mr. Herman Yu. Hi, Herman. Nice to see you. Here we go. So, Herman, as you know, a large part of our audience is also online. Many people, of course, here are very familiar with what Sina is and with who you are. But I would like you to give us a brief introduction of yourself and what Sina especially targeting at our online audience.
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everyone. Sina, we're a U.S. listed public company. We've been public since 2000, April of 2000. And we started off as a news portal. So we're the largest portal in China by revenue. And over the last couple of years, we also got into social media. Our product is called Weibo, and we're known as Weibo.com. And at the end of first quarter, this quarter, we've reached, we have an account over 324 million. And we have a daily active user of over 30 million now. So you can see us as kind of an online media player in China with our portal and also our social media.
Okay, why these numbers? I mean, why is Sina Weibo outperforming all the other people in that space in China?
Yeah, I think you know, whereas, you know, if you look at Facebook compared to the other social products around the world, you see Facebook being, you know, very strong, especially in the Western world. I think if you look at China, we have to look at how the Chinese culture is and how the Chinese people actually live on a daily basis to understand how to create a product in China that's more relevant to Chinese culture. I think several things. I think if you look at Facebook in the US and in Western worlds, it allows you to connect people from offline, right? Usually it's your relationship that you have offline, you take it online. Whereas in China, it's a little different. Our product it's the opposite. It's open. Anyone can go follow anyone, right? So it's any place, anywhere, and following anyone. And I think that's very important in China at this time because you have several factors. You have, for example, the one-child policy where people wanted to connect beyond just a family matter because you know you're at home lonely. You have a lot of the professionals who are migrants, right? So people usually go to school in another city, and once they graduate, they go to the coastal city. So when you're going into a new environment, you're always trying to connect with people, right? And with an open product like Weibo, it allows you to meet people very easily. Another key point, I think, is that the fact that in China, if you look at traditional media such as television, such as newspaper, and so forth, you're not able to collect a lot of key information for decision making. Whereas for Weibo, we really position ourselves not only as a technology, but also as kind of a media center where we're aggregating content. So, you know, if you look at, for example, the Apple model where it created the app economy, it really disrupted the portal business in a sense that you're no longer trying to aggregate content, you kind of divide into different apps and you go directly to that particular app. But Weibo comes along in the mobile environment and then re-aggregates the content. So for example, if you go to Weibo today, you can actually reach over 5,000 media companies, right? And you can follow a lot of things. For example, you can watch television. So whereas, you know, a lot of the younger generation, they're moving, you know, from television, from newspaper, from book reading onto online, Weibo then collects a lot of this key data from the major media companies, from the, you know, television station and so forth, and you can view it all in one space, whether it's on mobile or on PC.
Since Sina has been a long-term strategic partner and fantastic partner, by the way, of the Chinese City Conference ever since we started, I thank you for that, by the way. I've been following the Sina stocks for quite a while, and when Weibo started to really gain momentum, the stocks of Sina went to the roof. But besides that, how is Weibo making money today for Sina?
Yeah, I think like any internet property, in the beginning, it's really about traffic. Once you have dominance in the market, once you have the brand, very good users, then I think then the next part ultimately will be monetization. While we're not focusing on monetization this year, this is a year where we're building the systems and the ecosystem to prepare for monetization. I think ultimately for Weibo, there's two types of monetization. One is what I call a B2C. We're an open platform where a third party can develop applications, and you can potentially have games and so forth on there. Where we're like an online mall. We're the developers creating a lot of traffic, trying to get very high-end discretionary dollar audience, and basically we're leasing this spot for application developers to be able to come and lease the storage, lease the space, and utilize it and put their application on there. So kind of the one is the B2C model. The other ultimately I think is the advertising model. So the advertising model is a little bit more complicated. We call that the B2B. So our advertising model is basically this, where you can advertise on Weibo with these branded spots, and basically it directs traffic to what we call a smart page, an enterprise account. So rather than in the traditional model where if you're a small and medium-sized enterprise and you have your own website, you might buy a lot of traffic from all the online properties and direct on there. We think that that's not efficient. You buy once, you buy today, tomorrow if you want the traffic, you gotta buy again. Whereas in our model that we're proposing between the Weibo advertising and the enterprise accounts, you're adding a component of open apps where you can put social apps in there, and you have a lot of social feature like microblogging. So what that does is once you advertise, the traffic comes here, you can follow the corporate account, so you have residual value after that. The companies can tweet to these followers the day after. And then you also have the viral effect where if you send something out, someone likes it, it gets virally and it comes back. I give you one example. There's a company in Chongqing, it's an advertising company that wanted to start an office in Chongqing, China, middle of China. Mm-hmm. This was back in March. So within 6 weeks, they spent $1,500 US, recorded a video, put it on this enterprise account. Because of the social aspects, because you're able to buy advertising and be able to do that, within 6 weeks they were able to get 2 million downloads. They were able to get 500 resumes. So in the traditional model, if you're an SME website, think about how much traffic do you have to buy from search from all these online properties in order to get that kind of result. So I think it's only in this kind of open platform world where you have the social aspect, you have the open apps and so forth, that you're able to create that kind of impact with $15 million essentially to create that video.
Very, very interesting. And there's a typical criticism. I mean, you're traveling around the world, so I don't share personally this criticism for the people who know me pretty well. There's a typical criticism regarding China in general, and in particular Weibo, saying, Weibo is just a copy-paste of Twitter. And for many people who use both Twitter and Weibo, they think that if Twitter could operate in China, basically people would still keep on using Weibo, because Weibo in many ways made Twitter obsolete as a platform. Is that your view also?
Well, I mean, I think we operate in mainland China. We also operate in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, in North America. So, Twitter is in Taiwan. It's also in Hong Kong. To give you an example, in Hong Kong, there's probably a population of 4 million internet. We have about 2 million accounts on there. So, our size compared to Twitter, we're probably bigger. In Taiwan, I think our ratio between our account and Twitter, based on third-party data, we're probably many times more than that. So I think at the end of the day, Twitter, in my understanding, is more of a communication tool, whereas we're interested in the communication aspect as well as being kind of a media property. This is the place where you want to be connected to the Chinese community. So in that case, multimedia is very key. So when I go to my Twitter account, a lot of it is text, whereas if I go to my Weibo account, it's all multimedia. You can not only send feeds in text, it's in video, you can send music, you can download, play music. There's a lot of things you could do, a lot of the open apps that we're doing now. So I think in that case, really to win in China, it's about taking good business ideas, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, and other social products in Japan and so forth, and really being able to localize it to the point that the local users like to use it. So I think that's what we really have done with Weibo product.
Do you plan, I mean, you were mentioning that Weibo and Twitter are operating against each other somehow in Hong Kong or in Taiwan. Do you plan to export more aggressively Weibo to non-Chinese speaking markets?
I think ultimately that would be a goal. But I think ultimately our position is still how do you get connected to the Chinese community? Being that the China market is very huge, in Japan we actually have an agency that's helping Japanese businesses operate Weibo. So a lot of the Chinese population are now traveling to Japan. So this agency basically helps a lot of the hotels, restaurants, and so forth to create Weibo accounts so that they can market toward the Chinese population as they're going to Japan. So that's a good example where we're really trying to expand our resources and be able to go into non-speaking population. But I think ultimately our position is going to be different than Twitter, whereas Twitter is more of a communication tool. We're more of kind of the content, the social community among the Chinese.
You know that the traditional audience of China ICT is mainly composed of entrepreneurs, late-stage entrepreneurs, middle-stage entrepreneurs, and early and very, very early entrepreneurs also. I see some of them coming from the hackathon already in the room. So is merger and acquisition part of the growth strategy of Sina? And if it is, if I'm an entrepreneur or if I'm an entrepreneur developer, what is my best bet to build a company that will be ultimately acquired by you guys?
That's a very good question. In fact, we actually have a Weibo fund where we have partnered with 4 other venture capital to specifically invest in applications that, or some type of business that would allow Weibo to become a bigger business. If you look at us historically, just last year we have invested in companies where we have made investments over $50 million in 3 companies. So I think in terms of M&A activities, we actually have been doing that very well in China. I think the opportunity is really our open platform. Our key point in having an open platform is several things. If you look at the social media space in China, Sina was the first major social media platform to actually build the system open from the ground up, because we realized we're very entrenched in the competition in China, and we really want to be able to open up so that we're focusing on the platform and allow other people to actually be part of the ecosystem. I think secondly, we started this program called Sina SAE. It's a Sina application engine, which basically simplifies the development process. So if you apply for an account as an engineer, application engineer, you can develop directly on Weibo without having to deal with any IT issues, no server bandwidth, no hosting. You just get an account and you're developing behind the cloud. And once that application is ready for monetization, you can use Weibi, which is Wei credit that allows you to collect fees. For example, today there's over 100 game developers that are currently monetizing on our game platform. So, and I think that the other main selling point of a Weibo product, whereas like a Facebook, it's a closed system, Weibo is open. So once you win something, so if you play a poker game and you win, you can broadcast to your follower. I have a following of 30,000, so if I play a Weibo game and I want to tell everyone I win, all of a sudden that's viral, free marketing for this particular poker game to my 30,000 if it gets retweeted and so forth. So I think that's very conducive. So in addition to games, which everyone knows on a social media kind of platform, I think the bigger opportunity may be e-commerce. I think in China, the first 10 years of Chinese internet probably is related to online games. We're very well known throughout the world of online games. I think the next 10 years, the real opportunity is probably in commerce. meaning how do you allow small, medium-sized enterprises to really tap into the retailing sector in China, because the government is promoting consumer and so forth, and also because historically traditional infrastructure to support retailing really isn't there. So if you go beyond tier 1, going to tier 2, tier 3, that's just being built as online is actually being built. It's almost like the phone stage where China just kind of leapfrogged traditional phones into mobile because the infrastructure for old phones isn't just there. I think you will see e-commerce similarly. So I think, you know, as part of the overall retailing, probably e-commerce or doing online tapping will be even bigger. And our model is, as I mentioned, it's about our Weibo advertising connected to the enterprise account where you have open apps, right? You have basically open platform for people to develop. So today, for an SME to open an enterprise account, it's much easier to build features onto that enterprise account than it is on their own website. For example, open apps today, you can easily download an app within minutes, and you have now coupon, the ability to give out coupon, the ability to broadcast video, the ability to download software. These are all basically apps that you can download in minutes onto your enterprise account. So if you have your own website and your SME, you probably hire consultants and build all that feature. So I think, I believe, you know, if people think about this, they can really serve a lot of our enterprise accounts just by building apps where the features are now being able to downloadable in a few minutes and you can charge. I think the opportunity in developing for enterprise apps probably is bigger than for games, because it's already very entrenched in the game. But this whole idea of having SMEs being empowered by kind of this website behind the cloud, and you're just downloading apps to really empower, I think it's something that has great opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much, Herman. Very, very interesting.
Thank you very much, Frank.